constitutional mandate of oversighting the executive must do your work. Summon Kindiki Kithure, summon Kipchumba Murkomen. They must explain to you under what circumstances were they unaware of the whereabouts of the abducted Kenyans. It's your responsibility. And Richard Onyonka and Eddie Okech, when this matter arrives on your table in the Senate, you must speak affirmatively. If these people have to be censured, they must be censured. If they have to be removed from office, they must verily be removed from office.
Ayub.
We cannot be talking about this thing yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Okay. We must now.
Ayub, just to add on what Havi said here, and I'm being very cautious because I entered politics at a very young age, and I know how much sometimes politicians.
Okay, it's only that you don't have white hair, but you're not a young man.
No, I said entering politics at
the age of 16.
That's okay, but I'm younger than you for sure, or than most of the politicians that are in the country. But what I wanted to say is that I've entered politics at a very young age, and I'm seeing a trend where there is sometimes in the wake of national crisis, also political incitement against the political class. And sometimes it extends to even the sitting regime. And as a country, we must reflect on this. There is a very thin balance, because what Havi has just said is a very pronounced statement that Kindiki needs to be called, and so is Murkomen needs to be summoned over these issues. What that interprets, in my mind, it means that there are a number of security organ and state institutions that are multi-layered that must deal with these kind of issues before getting to the president. And I'm going back to that because he asked me whether I talked to the president and raised these issues to him. And I told him, I do talk to the president, and the president is sincerely concerned, at least from the way he speaks to me as a young person, and when I talk to him about these issues. And he expressed a lot of disappointment on these abductions. But then, at what point do the investigations happen? At what point does the police take responsibility? At what point does the ministry take responsibility? So that as a leader as strong as Nelson Havi, or as a leader as strong as was the former president, who have been vehemently talkative about these issues, at what point do you factually point finger at the president? Yes, the buck stops with him. But imagine if the president today was to go and say, I've seen this and this person, and put an order and say, I'm abducting this person for abducting these young people, or we are arresting this person for this. Will it not be tantamount to violating the Constitution? What I'm saying here is that the leaders like Havi must be leaders who participate in national building. The custodian of nationhood are those people who must remain sober on giving a balanced approach to issues and allowing institutions.
47 years.
No, wait. Because you're the one who raised it. You raised the issue of bringing Kindiki to account, bringing even the IG of police to account. Yet, Havi has also pointed the hand on this show and said the president has abducted some people. You see, those kind of factual...
I'm too intelligent to have said such a stupid
thing. Or insinuated, those kind of things. And we face this, Ayub, where the responsibility is put squarely on you as a political leader, where institutions have failed, and that must be held accountable before they get to aid your case at the end of the story, or any other person.
I'll come to you, Senator Onyonka, and Honorable Nelson Koech, just a minute. Certainly our constitutional democracy outlines our governance structure.
Yes.
The president has no, for example, prosecutorial powers.
Yes.
He cannot order for your arrest today.
Exactly.
Neither can he take you to a court of law.
Yes.
You have agreed with Council Havi that the Interior CS, Kipchumba Onesmus Murkomen, and his predecessor, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, should be answerable here by Parliament.
Including with the IG of police.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
The IG is also answerable.
Yes.
He can be summoned by a committee.
Yes.
At the National Assembly.
Exactly.
Why then are you absolving the president from all these scenarios when he, the president, can as well, on accountability not, as our Constitution stipulates, can be impeached by Parliament if he commits gross violation of the Constitution?
I'm not absolving anybody, not even myself, as a political leader who is elected. I am just saying that there are statements that when you make, they are tantamount to political incitement. In the sense that if you say that AD has abducted so-and-so without a factual investigated report from, for instance, the IG of police or DCI or the relevant ministry, then for me, you are inciting the public to the point that it can actually, and that's why Havi is being very smart, by the way. He's just being smart. No, there's somebody who is smart, but somebody who's trying to be smart. Havi is saying that he cannot go to the streets exactly because you know what he's saying, and he knows what I'm saying by saying that to point hand or point fingers is an advocate of the High Court.
To be a fool.
To point fingers at Onyonga that Onyonga has abducted so and so without factually understanding so is not fair to Onyonga, unless you have interrogated and put the institutions that are supposed to make sure that that fact can be substantiated. Because I don't have that fact. He doesn't have that fact. And that's why he cannot go to the streets. Because the last time I saw Havi in the streets, he actually ended up in Parliament drinking tea. Right? And he knows that he can actually go and protest. But the basis for protest cannot just stop at the age of a functional element that some people have been abducted. It has to be able to get justice for those families.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that justice, like right now, do you feel like by mere fact that these young people have read it to their families, is that justice? No, it's not justice. Justice is if the ordeal they experienced and they went through is investigated and the people who are responsible for it are brought to book.
And that includes seeking damages.
Exactly.
Senator, I'll come to you, Honorable.
I wanted to say this. We are where we are because of certain reasons. Some of us have been discussing and raising issues about our country. The truth is, if Parliament was more proactive, the Senate was more proactive, most likely, I think, it will be much easier for some of the problems that are coming into this country, the problems that are actually even cooking. I mean, Ayub, look at what is happening in Central. Even when my colleagues would want to dismiss what is happening, the political matrix that is being generated there, to me, is exact template like what was happening in 1992, 2002, now you're coming to 2000. What is happening right now is very simple. Here you are, you have a political crisis. And we are assuming that this political crisis, the only way you solve it is going to be in a certain manner. That can either be by intimidation or by insulting each other on national TV. And that's why I saw my brother Eddie really struggling to say, oh, you know, there are certain things which, because we want the state to... Eddie, the state only becomes stronger and becomes self-sustaining if we accept that mistakes have been happening on both sides.
Yes.
And therefore, we need to begin to engage ourselves as leadership honestly, candidly, and fairly. So when I see the noise that is coming from Central Kenya, and I see some of the noise that coming from the people around the presidency, and I see the noise from other quarters, I begin to worry. Why? Because these are matters, if Kenyans who are in leadership were much more serious, these are things, even when some people will consider that where Gachagua is beyond any reasonable redemption and other things, the damage has already been done. But the damage can be managed. You can't throw fuel onto the fire.
Exactly.
If Gachagua is in Central making noise about how the president has betrayed him and the certain community that he comes from is feeling betrayed and all that, so long as he is saying it and he feels that is true without being personal and attacking the president personally, for me, I don't find any contradiction on that. That is what the President, William Ruto, did with Uhuru all the period he was Uhuru's vice president.
And he wasn't impeached.
And he wasn't impeached. And nobody carried kids to go and abduct them to teach them a lesson because they're using a damn phone. This is what scares me.
Yep.
This is what worries me. That slowly we are now becoming, how do I put it, Ayub? We are slowly beginning to become insensitive to the violations, to the disagreements. That everything now in Kenya is beginning to look like it's do or die. I mean, all of a sudden, Mungiki is now being set up to start. I mean, surely.
By who?
I mean, you've been seeing it all over. Social media, you've been seeing it in the newspapers. Mainda Njenga has been reactivated.
By who?
I mean, that's what I'm asking. Do we need to go back to have people who've been activated who have no responsibility or even answerable to anybody?
And I'm raising this point because we were talking about security questions as to who was abducting Kenyans, where they were held, why certainly there was a concurrence between those who were released previously and now, the Longton brothers and Bob Njagi. Again, you bring in another important question. Who then, in your view, is re-engineering Mungiki?
My argument and my point is how I wish the political class would listen to itself. It is not ordinary Kenyans. Because of this power play. Because, I mean, you saw my brother. I mean, you know, Oscar Sudi is my friend.